Welcome back to the Andrew Ramon Show. Man, I gotta tell you, today marks the day of the 20th episode of this show. So if you've been with me, man, since like the beginning, thank you. Honestly, like I say that, if you're watching on YouTube, you see me look right at you at the camera, and I just want to say thank you if you've been with me since the beginning. If this is your first episode and you're like, dude, what is this whole thing about? Hey, give me a couple minutes, and I think you'll get a sense of what this show is all about. Because we've covered everything. I mean, if you haven't already, stop by the YouTube channel. You can watch all the episodes there. We got several great interviews and great conversations with people. And yeah, I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. And if you don't want to take it from me, take it from our reviews. 5 stars. Wait, let me read my reviews. How did these reviews go? It was 5 stars, life transforming. Something like that. Hey, if you don't believe me, go read the reviews in Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't left one, leave a review. Man, I'm one of the people that say a lot like, this is going to be the greatest episode. And I try not to really use hyperboles just for the sake of using hyperboles. Like, I truly mean it because I'm very passionate about everything that I do. So today, when I say it's a special episode, I mean it more than ever. Why do I mean it more than ever? Because after listening to this episode, you're going to learn some life lessons that it's actually going to make you a better person. Like right away, you can put these into practice and become a better person, not only now, but for the future. And it's not just going to help you, but it's going to help everyone that you know. So I know that was a pretty high stakes, but I really mean it in this episode. So you don't want to miss it. Stick through the whole thing. If you got to pause it, come back to it. Because this week has been if we're real, it's been a tough week. It's been a tough week for our family and my grandpa, my Opa. That's the name I'll be using this episode. My Opa, Opa's grandpa in German. So my Opa passed away this last, like a week ago now. And if I'm honest, I might sound very composed and look very composed because it's been about a week and I've been able to process it. But it hit hard. It hit very hard. I've been blessed to not have to deal with death of very close ones to me for a very long time. I have both sets of my grandparents, so I know a lot of people who don't, and consider myself very blessed. But once he passed away, kind of like haven't cried that much in a very long time. So I thought, there's no better way than to record an episode in honor of him. And what I'm going to tell you a lot of stories today. I think you'll find funny. I think you'll find entertaining. But also I think you'll learn lessons from them. And I want to share with you 3 lessons that I've learned from my Opa's life. Now I want to put a caveat because my grandpa's not perfect. I've learned a lot from his mistakes, and we should from people's mistakes, right? I always say, people say, live and learn. And I always say, well, I bet I'd rather learn from those who lived, right? But today in honor of him, I want to focus on three life lessons that I believe if you put them into practice, they will make you a better person. So make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on. Here's the thing, man, and I want to tell you, if you've been part of this podcast, I would just want to say thank you. There's no way I could even do any of this without you. So I just want to thank you. Hey, I want to encourage you. If you're listening to this, share this episode with somebody. Share it, ask them to subscribe to the channel if they like it, and that way we can grow and reach more people. So if you haven't done so, do that now. So the first lesson is discover new places and meet new people. You see, one of my favorite authors, J.R.R. Tolkien, he's the author of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and all the Middle-earth books that he wrote. He once said that not all those who wander are lost. And dude, does that describe my Opa? Holy cow, did he absolutely loved to travel. And he worked hard, which we'll talk a little bit later, but he traveled almost all around the globe. And what's interesting though, and here's the lesson, the perspective that was underneath that, underneath or underlined his trips and his exploration was the understanding that there was something to learn from other people, There is something to learn from other places, that you don't know everything. Sadly, I feel like the culture that we live in right now, we feel like we know everything. Like I can live in Garland, Texas for the rest of my life and I'm good. No, like there's so much to learn from other people and from new places. And I learned that personally because when I was age 15, I had the privilege of traveling to Germany with my Opa. Now, I'm going to explain that a little bit later down this episode of why we went to Germany. But I went to Germany and I got to meet one of his good friends. Now, I learned this lesson firsthand because as you can imagine, as a 15-year-old kid, I had just started to learn the German language, right? And come on now, am I like the only one who feels that if you're bilingual, you feel like you have an upper hand, and especially because I was learning German. So I was that kid who's like, wow, you speak Spanish in English and some German? I always said some because I never really spoke it very well. I always just said like, yeah, I speak some German, right? So imagine I'm honestly, I thought I was just, okay, I'm gonna teach you a word in Spanish. Are you ready? Here's the phrase, muy muy. Me creía muy muy. That's like I'm a show off. Like I think I'm a hot shot. That's kind of the term in English. So I honestly thought I was a little bit of a hot shot. So there I go, going to Germany. I speak English, I speak Spanish, and some German. Well, I meet one of my grandpa's friends, my Opa's friends, an older gentleman called Wolf. Now, if you can't think of a better German name, I'm trying to think of a German accent here. Jennifer Opernplatz. This is more of a German accent. I really have no idea if that's a German accent, but like you cannot think of a better accent than Wolf, the better name than Wolf. So here's the story. So Wolf he actually is one of those guys that works at the tower at the airport. You know that really cool tower that without that, like you couldn't fly and every plane would crash because they give directions to the planes. Well, he would actually work there. His English was perfect. Okay, like you got to believe me when I say this. His English was perfect. I mean, I said, yeah, I speak good English. I speak good English. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. I spoke English pretty well, and I consider myself like fluent in English. But this man spoke it to the perfection of the English language. And not only that, but he also obviously spoke German, and he also spoke some French, and I think he also spoke some Italian. So I was like, oh, you know what? He's just a lot older than me. Whatever. I'm still young, learning German. Man, I know everything I have to know. But then he goes on and ruins my dream and my aspirations of trying to be a cool 15-year-old who speaks maybe 3 languages. And he's like, oh yeah, well actually the average citizen here in Germany, in fact in Europe, is either bilingual or trilingual. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I'm not actually ahead. I'm somewhat behind. Like there's probably an 11-year-old German kid out there that speaks like 5 languages. And he's like, oh, hallo, guten Tag. Oi, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien, ¿y tú? Great, I'm doing well. Molto bene, grazie. Ajijimashite, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. I mean, for all I know, this kid is probably way more fluent than me. So in that moment, my mind was honestly blown. It might not maybe seem a lot to you, but this life lesson that I learned from my grandpa is that meeting new people broadens your horizons. It broadens your horizons because it actually expands your perspectives in such a way that you learn more. It is quite a selfish perspective to think that if you don't travel, that you know everything you have to know. Heck no, there's so many people that know more than I do, and I want to learn from them. And when you learn new cultures, here's something that I've learned. Talking about cultures. So Mexico and Mexican culture and American culture. So here's a story just to give you an example of like the differences in culture. So if you go to a Mexican household, it might be in Latin America, but I think right now I'm just going to speak personally in the Mexican culture. And you go to someone's house, right? And the general thing, no matter how many times you've been in the house, no matter if you're a freaking friend or a first-time guest at the house, someone will always say, hey, would you like some water? And they'll get you the water, right? In America, I feel like that has like a 1-time, 2-time rule. But once you're kind of like 3 times in the house, they're like, hey, feel free and get yourself some water. In Mexico, that's offensive. That's like, wait, I'm sorry, what? Get myself some water? Heck no, you get me some water. Like so there's actually something to learn from all cultures. So hey, I want to encourage you, if you have guests, that feel free to get yourself something. Go ahead and get it for them. It's a nice little gesture. So when I was in Germany, I honestly learned that there are people out there that know more than I do, and they have different lives, different experiences that I can learn from. So I want to encourage you. How does that look like in your life? Have you always been afraid of meeting new people because you feel it might be like a waste of time? Like, oh, why do I have to talk to this person? Well, I want to just tell you straight out, that's pretty selfish. Like, I want to be the person who talks with people. There's a great psychologist, Jordan Peterson, and he says one of his rules of life is that when you're talking to someone, assume that they know something you don't. Oof, I'm going to let that sink in. So you might hear I'm going to give you a 5-second pause on the audio and the video right now for you to think about that. That when you're talking with someone, assume that they know something you don't. I'm back. You thought I was gone, man. You thought, wait, does this thing glitch up or something? No, I just gave you some 5 seconds for you to think about that lesson, that whenever you talk with someone, we're sometimes so busy and trying to think of what we have to say and what we know, trying to prove someone right, trying to prove someone wrong. But I challenge you to learn. I challenge you to learn, especially right now in today's age when there's so many people talking and expressing their ideas. But I do challenge you to learn. I challenge you to learn new perspectives, as I said before, to broaden your horizons. So, one of the things I've needed to learn is to listen instead of talking. Now, my job is kind of to talking in this show, so please excuse me, give me a little leeway there. But I've heard it said, you don't learn by talking, you learn by listening. So that's the first life lesson, is to explore, discover new places, and meet new people. Once there's Rona up and out of here, man, then you can travel. Gain new experiences, learn the history of certain places. Don't think that just because you're stuck in Garland, Texas. Wait, that came pretty close to home. But if you're stuck in Garland, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Mesquite, Texas, it don't matter. Discover new places and meet new people. Hey, here's life lesson number 2. Hard work pays off. I'm going to say that again. Hard work pays off. I don't know why it seems like in this life, we sometimes live life expecting things to just go easy. We expect to invest a minimal investment into life and gain a huge result by barely putting in anything. But as the saying goes, you get in life what you put into it. So I want to challenge you, because in this society right now, we kind of are consumed by apathy. We're kind of waiting for opportunities to come towards us and opportunities to be handed to us by a silver platter. But something I learned from my grandpa and from his family is that when you work hard, it's what is it? Some of the hardest working people are the luckiest people. Did you get that? It's because they work hard. That's sometimes what happens. The hardest working people are sometimes the luckiest people. And I want to tell you a story. It's not about my Opa, but it's about my Opa's mom. So my grandpa was raised by a single mom, which was kind of rare in his time. And what would that be? Like the 1950s, I think? Yeah, about the 1950s, late 1940s. Raised by a single mom. His mom was a librarian her entire life. So think about I want to start a low income job and then go bigger in the corporate level and make a lot of money, and then I can discover new places. And then I can do it. I'm just, I don't want to, or, you have people that say, I don't want to work a basic job. I want to work a job that pays well. Well, take her story, for example. She worked as a librarian her entire life, and you know what she did? She invested her money and she saved. And when she retired, what she did? She traveled the world. Yeah, a lot of us want to travel the world, but we're too afraid of taking a minimum wage job, as our first job, because we're like, I don't know, I don't want to do that. Well, I challenge you, work hard, because when you work hard, things actually pay off. It is one of the greatest lessons that I believe this generation needs to learn. We need to learn that when you work hard, things are going to go better. Like, it might not be right away, but it's going to happen. It kind of saddens me that I see so many Gen Zers, so many millennials that kind of just sitting back in their chairs and like, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. I'm bored right now. Life is hard. Life is hard. Go get it. Go at it. Get some. That's what we're supposed to do when life is hard. We're supposed to go great. I saw a very short clip of a video that it was a karate teacher teaching one of his students to hit through a piece of wood. That thing, heck, that hurts, man. That hurts. And he was getting him ready. He's like, look, when you hit it, it's gonna hurt. But the moment it hurts, you have to push a little harder because that's the moment that it's going to break. It's the moment that you're going to see breakthrough. So I want you to listen to this because maybe in life, what you have to do is you have to push hard enough to the point that things get difficult, because when things get difficult, that's the moment you push harder. That's not the moment you let go of the pedal. That's the moment that you put in drive in fourth gear and you go for it, man. That's what life is about. So I want to challenge you in whatever your life looks like is to meet new people, to learn new perspectives, to discover new places. Don't be selfish and think you know it all, and to work hard. In this last life lesson I want to share with you that I learned from my Opa. Remember I told you we went to Germany? The reason we went there is because my great-great-grandfather was an immigrant from Germany. So, I know, soy latino. Y dije, pues este latino es alemán. ¿Cómo pasó eso? Questo mexicano è tedesco. È tedesco. ¿Cómo pasa questo? ¿Cómo pasa? Like, how does this work? You might be thinking, I don't know if that's what you were thinking, but surprise. Now I read your mind. So, let me explain to you why we went. Well, my grandpa had been, but he's still alive. He's in heaven. So, I'm going to say has been just fascinated by genealogy. That's family history. I mean, you've seen the websites, right? Ancestry.com or 23andMe, where you can see, congratulations, you are 1/10 related to a Swedish man named Yogaman. Or something like that. You find like, I'm freaking Swedish. Who knew that? Well, surprise, 23andMe can tell you that. I've never taken it, but I've heard like it's pretty accurate. So, he did it old school. This was old school, like by pen and paper and researching. And we actually went and traveled to Germany to meet, not only see the German Vaterland, because it's not the motherland, it's the Vaterland, it's the fatherland, in Hamburg. And we went to Berlin and Dresden, which was called the Florence of Germany because it was so beautiful before it was bombed in World War II. But one of the things that I loved about my grandpa was he was proud of a family name. That's the third lesson. He was proud of his family name. Now, I feel like nowadays there's not so much pride in your family name. For him, it was about learning what his ancestry was about. And I think that's important, about learning where you come from, because either you honor that or you start something new. Maybe you've been embarrassed about your family name because your family name is mixed in with a bunch of addiction or divorce or something. I got to tell you, both of my parents, my grandparents were divorced. And my parents had to decide whether they were going to start something new. So here's my challenge to you in this third life lesson that I learned from my Opa, is that if you're not proud right now of your family name, then live in a way where your kids can be proud of your family name. What can you do today to start something new where someone will be proud to be called a Johnson, a Roman, a Garcia, a Schwansteinhagen? That's, I guess, a German last name, or a French last name, or a Botruch, a Russian last name. You get it. Whatever last name you got, what can you do today that's gonna make a difference where now you're proud of carrying your last name and your children will be proud of carrying your last name? It doesn't matter if you're a woman and later you'll get married and have your husband's last name. Like for me, I'm Andrew Roman Bohau. Bohau is my mom's maiden name. I carry it with pride too because I know it comes from German ancestry and I'm very proud of that. So 3 life lessons that I've learned from my Opa. And, I know my Opa's in heaven. And if you have any grandparents that are in heaven, I feel you, man. I feel you. It's sad not having him around, but I can have his life lessons around. And that is about discovering new places, meeting new people, understanding that someone that you might be talking to know something that you don't, and there's a reason to listen and to learn from them. That work hard ultimately pays off. And lastly, is that we should be proud of a family name. And if you're not proud of it right now, do something that's going to make you proud of carrying your name, and is going to make your children and your descendants proud of carrying their name. I hope that you've been able to just listen and pay attention to these life lessons, and I want to see how you apply these. So let me know, communicate with me, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, and take these life lessons into your own life, and you're going to see a difference. Hey, we'll see you in the next episode of The Andrew Roman Show.